Hi, this is Niamh, and in this episode we're going to talk about using the immersion method to get rid of bad habits, rewire your brain, and create the new good habits that you want in your daily life. Stay tuned. Now, from when I was a small child, I've always been a big reader. I absolutely love reading. And in recent years, particularly since becoming a mom, I've had less and less time to actually read. I mean, you wouldn't believe it given the amount of books I have, but there you go. I was finding that I simply wasn't finishing books. So maybe in the last year, in 2014, I figured that I'd maybe read about 10 books. And that may sound like a lot, but to me that's very, very low. And a lot of what I do, sharing videos, teaching things, involves me learning, involves me continually expanding my mind. And to do that, I need to find the time to read. But I was discovering that I simply wasn't doing it. It was kind of challenging for me. And so I was finding that I would want to read and I'd instead be checking my phone to see if anything had happened on Facebook in the last 5 minutes, or if I'd gotten an email in the last 10 minutes. Over time, particularly nowadays in the internet age, our brains get used to being hit with information all the time, and we become somewhat addicted to it. So when you find yourself kind of checking your phone all the time, it's because you want that hit of information. It's kind of like the lottery, like a slot machine. You never know when there's going to be an email, when there's going to be a new notification, when someone's going to have said something interesting. So we tend to continually check, and it's like pulling the thing at the slot machines, going, is this gonna be the time where I get a big hit, where I get a big exciting email? I don't know if you're an entrepreneur, but for me it's like, ooh, is there gonna be a sale when I check my email? So it becomes very, very addictive, and our brains get used to being hit with information that quickly. And I was like, okay, this is a problem, my brain is now wired to look for information now. And it meant that I couldn't sit down and read. I could listen to books on, Audible, or listen to audiobooks, but I was having a really hard time sitting down to read. And reading is a incredibly beneficial exercise for me. It has always really helped me to think and learn and grow. And I was like, okay, well, how can I retrain my mind to read? So I set myself a challenge this year. You may have noticed, but I set myself the challenge to read 100 books in 2015. That's going to be 50 nonfiction books and 50 fiction books. And actually right now I'm up to 26 books. I'm about halfway through 2 more. So I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. But what's been really interesting is that in order to do this, I had to pretty much immediately immerse myself in reading. This is what I like to call the immersion method. And I've done it on aspects of my business before too, and it works amazingly. If you're finding yourself in a bad habit that's really tough to break, set yourself a big challenge, a really big challenge that feels like it's going to be hard. Like finishing 100 books in a year, that sounds really hard to me. So you want to set yourself a challenge that's so high that in order to achieve it, you need to just dive right in and devote an enormous amount of time to it. So I found that, I wasn't going to sacrifice time with my kids. I wasn't going to sacrifice time in my business and working on the things that I need to work on. So I was like, okay, well, what can go? Well, the only thing that can go is my phone checking habit. So I found that day one, when I was sitting and reading, I would still every 10 minutes or so be get that itch and check my phone. I wasn't stopping myself. I would go and check my phone. And then after a while, at around day 7 or so, I found that I started to be able to again read for several hours without picking up the phone. So it was really interesting in that it took me a while. It took me a while to break the habit, and now I'm at a slower pace in my reading because I've kind of hit my stride. I'm just kind of reading in the bits of the day that I have, but I'm not checking my phone and email as much as I used to, and I feel this enormous sense of freedom that I'm not constantly looking for that hit. So I would highly, highly recommend, and you might have a different habit. It might not be an internet and email or a Facebook habit. It might be, any other kinds of habits. Like another one for me has always been TV. My tendency to just go switch on the TV, even though there's other things in my life that I want more. Like I want to get in the information that I can get from reading. I want to sew. I want to write fiction. There's all these cool things that I want to do, and they're only going to happen if I am willing to change my daily habits. So I highly recommend the immersion method. All you have to do it is set yourself a challenge for something that you want to have more of in your life. It could be a hobby, it could be reading, it could be writing, it could be making something, it could be absolutely anything that you want to have as a habit. And don't worry about like trying to hold yourself away from the other habits. It's all about setting a big enough and exciting enough challenge that you just immerse yourself in it, and the other stuff will start to fade away. It's really great because it's like changing a habit without fighting. So I highly recommend you go do this, and let me know in the comments what you chose to immerse yourself in and how it goes for you. I'm eager to hear about your immersion challenges. So make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips on passion, pursuit, and prosperity. I will see you in the next video.